Okay, so you've seen our Gloster review and you've seen we've called it a full-sized SUV. SUV. Those three letters have been used really broadly these days. But to be a true blue SUV, you have to have that go-anywhere capability. Now, often during our test drives, we don't really get the time to do everything we want to do and test all the capabilities of the car, despite the fact that we may tell you about the features. We often don't get to put it really through its paces, and that's what I'm here to do today, to put the Gloster through its paces on a bit of off-road to see whether it really deserves those SUV credentials. Let's go chuck the muck. Now, to begin with, it does have the right credentials with a ladder frame chassis. It does set it up to be a proper SUV. Ladder frames are always preferred for true blue SUVs because they're more resistant to twisting forces and so better to go into the wild. And while the Gloster has what it needs, I have what I need as well to do a bit of off-roading, a good spotter. Our resident SUV expert, Rahul Kakar. Normally at this time I'd be introducing him inside the car with me, but thanks to social distancing, because I have my mask off, we're leaving him outside today, where he'll be doing spotting for me and telling you a little bit more about all the technical stuff.
And an SUV as big as the Gloster needs to have an engine to match its size. And its big 2-litre, 218 HP twin-turbo diesel motor that produces a phenomenal 480 Newton meters of torque, I'm sure we'll be able to have a whole lot of fun.
Well, it's great to have a big motor, and this one can do a lot of the heavy lifting. But I wouldn't really put it into too much of the rough stuff on its own without assistance. When we get into the trickier stuff, the Gloster does have added arsenal in the form of an electronic diff lock. So let's stop here. All I have to do is press and hold this button. I'm in manual mode already. And this is going to give me power and traction exactly where I need it. Slippery slopes, inclines, it's all easy peasy.
Now what the diff lock button on the Gloster does is actually quite different from a conventional diff lock that would lock both rear wheels and divide power equally. This is a system where the sensor realizes a free spinning wheel and applies the brake to it so that all the power is transferred to the wheel on the ground. So on uneven terrain, it helps you get through smoother.
That sound is really frustrating when you're off-roading. Every time you reverse, I have to go into the settings for the car and switch off this parking distance control sensor. Otherwise, it can drive you quite crazy. So for off-roading, it really isn't ideal because every time you reverse, like I said, it just comes on automatically. Okay, so while Rahul is standing there and giving me a couple of instructions, I have to say that despite its size, it is a big SUV. Visibility is really great in the Gloster. You know, this front windscreen is really wide. I can see the edges of the bonnet. I've got, good vision all around me, which is actually really, really critical when you go off-roading. And when my eyes don't serve the purpose, I also have, just at the press of a button, 360-degree vision right here. So Rahul is actually defunct.
Well. Looks like Renuka doesn't need my spotting skills anymore. That's also because she's got 360-degree view camera which is helping her navigate through the tight spots. But this car is loaded with so many other features like the driving modes, which is making it all the more simple.
Well, not entirely true, as the way the 360-degree cameras are positioned, they got dirty so fast and I lost clarity. So it was back to my eyes, the mirrors and Rahul. But the various modes helped me get through the various terrains easy.
Auto mode primes the Gloster for the conditions, or you can use the 4 dedicated off-road modes: snow, sand, mud and rock.
In rock mode, if you select neutral, the BorgWarner transfer case chooses low ratio to enable a crawl so that you can use just the brakes to cross the rocky terrain. The Gloster also has the tremendously helpful hill descent control and hill hold functions, which can be lifesavers over tricky surfaces, but I never really needed to use them.
While the Gloster isn't quite a monster truck, it's got good enough ground clearance, wide and grippy tires, and the suspension has enough travel to deal with a fair amount of rough stuff. And then, some really crazy stuff.
While this may be a modern, comfortable, well-equipped, spacious SUV that can carry your family and luggage easily, more than a hardcore off-roading machine, it still has got enough arsenal and more to wear the SUV tag proudly.